Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome back to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast. Let's wrap up week 16 and the entire second series of today's Tolkien Times with Silmarillion Saturday. Now, these Saturdays are our chance to revisit the history and legends of the Elder Days, whether from the Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, or more. Now, last week, we began a two-part reading of the chapter of the coming of men into the West, opening with Finrod Felagund's first encounter with men, his not creepy at all stalking and his music playing, and the love that he and the men of Beor's house had for one another. It was fantastic. Now, today we have to skip a portion of the chapter in order to fit in what I'd like to fit in, but I'll summarize what I'm skipping. Finrod finds out that there are other men also coming west, and this news finds its way to the Green Elves, who are none too pleased. They ask Finrod to tell the men, keep it moving, don't linger in Ossiriand. The Green Elves run a pretty strict HOA, I'd say. Now they move on, and eventually Beor chooses to serve Finrod for the rest of his life. The other men come, including the Haladin, and we learn about where each group settles and how many of them came to serve Finrod and the other elven lords. But nobody really asked Thingol for his opinion, which is where we pick up today. It is said that in all these matters none save Finrod Felagund took counsel with King Thingol, and he was ill-pleased, both for that reason and because he was troubled by dreams concerning the coming of men, ere ever the first tidings of them were heard. Therefore he commanded that men should take no lands to dwell in save in the north, and that the princes whom they served should be answerable for all that they did. And he said, Into Doriath shall no man come while my realm lasts, not even those of the house of Beor, who serve Finrod the Beloved. Melian said nothing to him at that time, but afterwards she said to Galadriel, Now the world runs on swiftly to great tidings, and one of men, even of Beor's house, shall indeed come, and the girdle of Melian shall not restrain him, for doom greater than my power shall send him, and the songs that shall spring from that coming shall endure when all Middle-earth is changed. But many men remained in Estelad, and there was still a mingled people living there long years after, until, in the ruin of Beleriand, they were overwhelmed or fled back into the east. For beside the old who deemed that their wandering days were over, there were not a few who desired to go their own ways, and they feared the Eldar and the light of their eyes. And then dissensions awoke among the Edain, in which the shadow of Morgoth may be discerned. For certain it is that he knew of the coming of men into Beleriand, and of their growing friendship with the elves. The leaders of discontent were Bereg of the house of Beor, and Amlach, one of the grandsons of Marach, and they said openly, We took long roads, desiring to escape the perils of Middle-earth, and the dark things that dwell there, for we heard that there was light in the west. But now we learn that the light is beyond the sea. Thither we cannot come where the gods dwell in bliss. Save one, for the Lord of the Dark is here before us, and the Eldar, wise but fell, who make endless war upon him. In the north he dwells, they say, and there is the pain and death from which we fled. We will not go that way. Then a council and assembly of men was called, and great numbers came together. And the elf friends answered Bereg, saying, Truly from the Dark King come all the evils from which we fled, but he seeks dominion over all Middle-earth. And whither now shall we turn, and he will not pursue us? Unless he be vanquished here, or at least held in leaguer. Only by the valor of the Eldar is he restrained, and maybe it was for this purpose, to aid them in need, that we were brought into this land. To this Bereg answered, Let the Eldar look to it. Our lives are short enough. But there arose one who seemed to all to be Amlach, son of Imlach, speaking fell words that shook the hearts of all who heard him. All this is but elvish lore, tales to beguile newcomers that are unwary. The sea has no shore. There is no light in the west. You have followed a fool fire of the elves to the end of the world. Which of you has seen the least of the gods? Who has beheld the Dark King in the north? Those who seek the dominion of Middle-earth are the Eldar. Greedy for wealth, they have delved in the earth for its secrets, and have stirred to wrath the things that dwell beneath it, as they ever have done and ever shall. Let the orcs have the realm that is theirs, and we will have ours. There is room in the world if the Eldar will let us be." Then those that listened sat for a while astounded, and a shadow of fear fell on their hearts. And they resolved to depart far from the lands of the Eldar. But afterwards Amlach returned among them, and denied that he had been present at their debate or had spoken such words as they reported. And there was doubt and bewilderment among men. Then the elf friends said, "You will now believe this at least. There is indeed a Dark Lord, and his spies and emissaries are among us, for he fears us and the strength that we may give to his foes." But some still answered, "He hates us, rather, and ever the more the longer we dwell here, meddling in his quarrel with the kings of the Eldar, to no gain of ours." Many, therefore, of those that yet remained in Estelad made ready to depart, and Bereg led 1,000 of the people of Beor away southwards, and they passed out of the songs of those days. But Amlach repented, saying, "I have now a quarrel of my own with this master of lies, which will last to my life's end." And he went away north, and entered the service of Mithras. But those of his people who were of like mind with Bereg chose a new leader, and they went back over the mountains into Eriador, and are forgotten. There's a lot more in this chapter about the other men, including a huge chunk on the Haladin, who have always been one of my favorite smaller side stories. But alas, we have run out of room for today, and for this week, and for this series, as that wraps it up for today's Silmarillion Saturday and all of Series 2. Come back for more of the Elder Days every Saturday when I'm not on break, as we open up the pages of Middle-earth history. And if there is a First or Second Age story you want to hear me read and discuss, please let me know by emailing barlaman@theprancingponypodcast.com. Now, as I head into a 2-week break before starting Series 3 of today's Tolkien Times, the Prancing Pony Podcast begins its 8th season tomorrow with an episode recorded live at Oxenmoot with Sean Marchese and many more. Please visit patreon.com/Tolkien Times to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, a monthly hangout with me, a bonus weekly episode, and a lot more. In fact, today is the last day of the special Patreon launch window. If you sign up on the top 2 tiers before today is over, you'll qualify to get a custom audio recording from me, personalized just for you. Maybe it's a ringtone, an outbound voicemail note, a birthday greeting for a friend, whatever you want, within reason. We'll be finalizing that list tomorrow, so sign up by the end of today, September 16th, to be eligible for that little bonus. Finally, join me again on Monday, October 2nd, as I start Series 3 and Week 17 of today's Tolkien Times with Mailbag Monday. It's hard to believe, but the next Third Age Thursday will be my 100th episode of this new show. Folks, if you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Please follow or subscribe in your podcast apps, and follow @Tolkien Times on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.